the first thing I do is I underscore the importance of finding your brand spark, the catalyst of what makes your company different. And I've discovered as I've consulted with different businesses and individuals is that either it exists, like in the Chuck Norris C-Force water brand, either it exists and you have to mine it out. Sometimes companies have been around a long time and they've forgotten what makes them really unique, or the things that made them unique before are no longer unique. Everybody in the competitive space kind of says the same thing. And so finding out what it is that truly makes you unique, discovery, or create. In an example with a convenience store chain out in the Mountain West that I helped build a brand for, we built a brand around a theme of adventure, because most of like, if you've ever been to Utah, like, it is the world's outdoor playground. It's got red rocks, it's got lakes, and it's got, skiing and snowboarding and hiking and climbing and rappelling and whitewater river rafting. It's got all of these things, hunting, fishing. And so we learned through some research that our audience, people who buy fuel and go to convenience stores in our market, they hated going to convenience stores. I mean, it's like, oh, I can't wait to go put fuel in my car. Nobody says that. Nobody's like, oh, today's the day, And so there's a negative emotional connection with buying fuel. And so we recognize that. And then those same people would say, the only time I really like going to a gas station or a convenience store is when I'm on my way to my favorite adventure, hiking, skiing, mountain climbing, whatever it is, camping with my family. These people would give themselves permission to kind of let loose a little bit. They'd buy more snacks and goodies. So when they're fueling up, they'd buy licorice and soda pop and donuts or whatever, because they're on their way to this really fun experience. And so what we decided to do was create a theme around adventure. We developed a tagline for the company, Maverick. The tagline was Adventure's First Stop. We wanted to be the place where customers go to start their adventures. And then we create a theme, visual and verbal theme of adventure. Like when you walked into a store, a brick and mortar store, it was like walking into an adventure. We had like murals of adventure scenes on the walls. The exteriors were, interiors had the ceiling painted sky blue. And we had a rule, nothing hangs from the ceiling, because we had to say, it's not a ceiling, it's the sky. Nothing hangs from the sky. So like signs, buy tobacco here. It's like, we didn't do that anymore. And so this lens that we created for a convenience store helped create that catalyst, that spark that informed all of the look and feel for the company. So there's two different ways to develop that spark. Like, discover it already exists. And if you can't find something that exists already, then create it. And in my book, I I actually outline the steps you do to do both. And so I encourage people, try to discover it first. But if you really can't discover it, you'll need to create it, because it's more authentic if you can discover something that's authentically unique. And so that's the first of 4 steps that I kind of coach people into their journey of brand development.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I've read the book a number of times, and it's amazing, because it's one of those books that is actually functional. You take a lot away from it. A lot of books will talk about an idea, they'll talk about the theory of doing something, whereas you do the theory, you do the story, but you take people through an actual step-by-step way to do it, which I think is really, really good. And it's really informative. And that, I think that brand sounds amazing. And like I've did some snowboarding in Canada, and people used to talk about Jackson Hole in Utah. They used to talk about it as like the closest thing to where we were, which was golden, kind of proper, decent mountain. But yeah, it sounds like an awesome brand. So how do you go about finding that spark? What are some of the things that you start to do to dive into that and discover?
The first thing you do is you create an exhaustive list of company attributes. And these are brand attributes. These are attributes about your company. For example, when I was working with Chuck Norris and his water brand, some of the brand attributes for the company and the product were, it's from Navasota, Texas. So that's where the source is. The reason they went into business is that they discovered the water, had it tested. The water was tested and found to be exceptionally pure. So that's another one. So Navasota, Texas, exceptionally pure, had a high natural pH balance. So that's another one. It came from a sustainable aquifer. So that lays into the source. It supports a charity. The Norrises have a charity called the Kickstart. It's basically helping young people develop self-confidence and discipline through karate. And Chuck Norris is like multi-time, world champion karate guy. And so, and then the final thing was that it's from Chuck Norris's ranch. So you list as many attributes as you can about the company or the brand, and then you try to identify one thing that is completely unique from all of your competitors. And one of the challenges is that I find when I've consulted is that most people don't dig deep enough when they're doing it for themselves. And what's crazy is that I'll get the same thing. So imagine me, I'm sitting down, I'm with the executive team, and I say, what makes you different? And they go, you know what? It's our people. Or it's our service. And I go, okay, tell me about your people, or tell me about your service. And they say, well, nobody has our people, and that's what makes us special. And I go, well, that's great, until your competitors hire your people. Then what do you got? It's not your people anymore? Or is it your people in general that they don't have? Well, if that's the case, then your competitors also have people. The only time I've actually seen a brand whose people are different is like the Four Seasons or Disney or something like that. And it's not their people, it's their process of developing people. That is special, and that's unique. So it's not really the people, it's the way they train them and how much they invest in their people. So really the challenge I see most people having is they don't dig deep enough to list and have an exhaustive list of brand attributes that they can then evaluate to determine which is our thing. And when you go through that list of brand attributes, mining for that distinct difference, you'll know you found it when it sparks creative ideas. So, for example, that we talked about the Chuck Norris C-Force water. Like, okay, imagine if purity was the thing. Okay, what visual references and verbal references for purity will excite you? And like Chris, like if I say purity, what visual references come to mind?
I'd say cool, crystal clear water. Yeah, kind of crystals, maybe kind of just a shot of the water itself, or a camera shot inside the water, maybe something like that. Those kind of things, I think. Mountain
Yeah,
Springs, stuff like that.
Mountain Springs. Um, uh, and if that was your uniqueness, is anybody doing that? I mean, if you think about water brands, is anybody using those images in their water brand? And you'd say
Everyone.
everyone. So you're like, okay, that's not different enough. So what are people not using to reinforce their purity? Like what visuals? So if it can't be the water purity, because everybody's doing that, what else is pure? Like when I think of like pure, I think of things like, you know, clean almost,
Mm.
sterile, like a hospital or a lab, you know. But
Yeah.
those aren't very appealing. That's like, ooh, our water was created in a lab. You know, it's like, I don't think people are going to go, oh, that's the one I've been looking for. So, but then you go down to, okay, Chuck Norris. It comes from his ranch. Is that unique? And then you start going, well, what kind of ads can we produce that have Chuck Norris? What kind of visuals can we see? Oh, you know what? Chuck Norris is kind of a tough guy. He's an action star. He's got this mythical lore about him with his memes, you know, the memes that people create for Chuck Norris. It's like it produces so many ideas for marketing and promotion using the Chuck Norris character that you go, oh man, this will be awesome. We can put on our packaging. We can have bottle caps. You remove the bottle cap, and on the bottom of the bottle cap, it'll have like a Chuck Norris meme, like a funny meme. So you can collect bottle caps. It's like, what do you do with purity?